Hi and welcome to GRVO TV, G's Reviews, Views and Opinions. Doing a video review in the dark. All I've got is some little lights, like LED lights behind me, and I've got the Nissin i40 video light on the flash on maximum, and I'm recording with the Panasonic GX8 at 6400 ISO just to give you an idea of what it looks like shooting in the dark. So anyway, on with the review. I'm doing my sort of update on the Panasonic Lumix G7. Now, I will start with the bad points on this camera. And I know you're not going to be able to see the camera great, but it is dark, but there it is. Yeah, the bad points. This is tricky because, well, really there's only one, and that's the fact that they didn't put the in-body image stabilisation that's in the GX8 in the G7. Now, they come out at roughly the same time, these two bodies, so I think it would have been nice, but I'm wondering if they're saving that for the GH5 maybe, which will be all singing, all dancing, I guess, probably coming out later on in 2016. We'll see. So that's the bad points out of the way. People say this is a mini GH4. Yeah, it is really, but it stands alone. As a camera. Forget the GH4. As a standalone camera, when you look at the features of this, it is utterly fantastic for the money, value for money. I don't think you can beat this. If you're either invested in micro four thirds lenses, or you want a one-stop shop, just one camera, one lens and nothing else, then this will do both of those things, because any of the micro four thirds lenses will fit on it and will work fantastically well. Also, you do something like we've done, get the 14-140 image stabilised lens, the Panasonic, and then it becomes a one-stop shop. This camera will do pretty much anything. I know it's not the fastest lens in the business, but at the end of the day, it is absolutely fine, and it's the, it's a 3.5 to 5.6, but it's the range, that sort of 28 to 280 equivalent in full frame talk. So versatility wise, I don't think you can beat it. The controls, the feel, are just absolutely beautiful on this. In fact, I don't like to say this because I love the GX8, but this is better. This is better because it feels more comfortable, it's lighter, it's got a nicer grip. The autofocus rear button, like the autofocus lock rear button, is in the perfect position for my thumb to rest on. I've still got a thumb grip, but I can just move my thumb there. Got the manual focus autofocus switch right to hand. We've got the big mode dial on there. No locks, no messing about. Chunky, clicks nicely, you're not gonna muck that up. Off on button is in the right place. You can turn it on and off one-handed, no problem. Front and rear dials both work absolutely fine. Got a function button on the top, which is used for exposure compensation. That's the only thing this does lack, is a dedicated exposure compensation dial, but it does have a mode dial where you can switch from single shooting, continuous, and also do bracketing timers, and also the 4K modes. And of course this does the 4K photo mode, which is just fantastic, and also now the post focus, which is a firmware update, and that allows you to take a picture and then choose the focus point after the fact, which is, if you look at my video on the GX8 update, I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. On the back of the camera, you've got plenty of function buttons to set the camera up as you like. Piece de resistance, as is with all these Panasonic Lumix cameras at the moment, is the touchscreen is absolutely beautiful. It works whether you're in the menu system or whether you're shooting, touch to focus, touch to take the picture. It's everything about it is easy. if I want to change, like I've just gone on there, if I want to change this function, I just touch it, turn it on, and it's on. Touch it again, turn it off, and it's off. If I want to change pages, you know, I just touch the page down button. If I want to go on to the spanner, I just touch the spanner. It's so intuitive and so easy. It makes you want to use it. It makes you want to go out. Obviously this one's got the pop-up flash, which is a nice little addition. You know, my other half uses this. She's not going to go out and buy a dedicated flash for it. And the pop-up one that's on there doesn't bounce or anything. It is what it is. You know, you don't really want to use it, but what we do with this camera is if we take this out, we take the 20mm 1.7. So if we get in a situation where we need a low light lens, you pop the 21.7 on, and for most situations you don't need the flash, so that's great. So handling is fantastic, the menu system is fantastic. Shooting speed, I have this set up generally on the medium setting. The autofocus is just beautiful on this. It's got the depth from defocus continuous, which is not great, but it's I reckon it's amongst the best of the Micro Four Thirds anyway, and I'm perfectly happy with the continuous autofocus on these cameras. And once you start shooting, that's fairly steady in that mode, but we can change modes, and I'm just trying to remember which button I have this set up on, because this isn't my camera. Yeah, here we no, that's not it. Where did I put it? Oh, that's it. Yeah, in the Q menu. So let's go to burst rate high and exit that. Plenty fast enough for anything we need, and it will go even faster if you go into the electronic modes, and then it's just ridiculously fast. And then that's when it cuts down to, like, you can do the 4K photo mode at 8 megapixels and all that jazz. But just for general shooting, it's plenty fast enough. And the thing is, the buffer doesn't fill up particularly quickly. It's only set to JPEGs, but absolutely, you know, fine, no issues with it at all. It's not a sports camera, you know, it could be used for that if you really wanted to, but just as a general camera, absolutely fantastic. Obviously, one of the key features on this camera is the 4K video, and that's partly while I'm recording in 4K on my GX8. The video is going to be pretty much the same as this, although it's a slightly different sensor. The actual video mode, I can't see that it's going to be any different. But it's great to have the 4K. The 1080p it is, you know, fantastic quality anyway. Even if you wanted to just do quick videos and you wanted to upload them straight to YouTube really quickly, you could shoot in 720 and the video still looks quite nice on these. Absolutely fine. And then that makes your editing easier and your storage easier and your upload speeds easier and things like that. So this would pretty much be, talking of video, you've got a dedicated proper mic jack on there, which is nice. And under this side, we've just got the usual HDMI remote and something else. I don't know what that is, some audio visual out thing. So, you know, ultimately this camera is, I think it's around the £450, $750 mark. I just can't speak highly enough about it, really. The viewfinder is just gorgeous. It's you just can't fault it, really. I mean, I was using I was testing out a Nikon D5200 the other day, and I thought the viewfinder, something wrong with the viewfinder. It's too small, and then I sort of go back to these. I think this is lovely. It's got a beautiful OLED display in there, you know, huge when you're looking through. Absolutely beautiful. There's no sort of lag or anything. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and it makes shooting manual a lot easier as well, because what you see is what you get, you know, which is great. So there you go. I know I wax lyrical about these cameras, but to my mind, the Panasonic GX8 and the G7 are two of the most fantastic cameras that you can buy at the moment. I know you can get better image quality, although the image quality out of this is absolutely fine. I've got no issues with it at all. I could, with the right lenses, I could happily go and shoot a wedding with this camera and with the GX8, and I can guarantee you I wouldn't get any complaints about the image quality, because there just wouldn't be. You know, say that the only caveat to that is using the right lenses. I'd probably switch to probably prime lenses, I guess, but yeah, image quality absolutely fine, no issues at all. I know people say, oh, it's a small sensor, so you get better image quality with the A6000 and the Sony A7. Well, yeah, you do. Not as much as you'd think, but you're paying a lot more money for certainly the A7, not the A6000, but the A6000 I just don't like it. I had it in the X6, I've tried the A6000, just don't like it as a camera. I didn't think the autofocus was particularly snappy. I know they say it was, but it definitely wasn't as quick as these. To that initial lock on, maybe better in continuous. But you've then got to look at your lenses. What lenses do you put on? And you start putting decent lenses on that Sony or any of the Sonys, and you get into a problem where you've got a small body and a big old lens. Especially the A7, it needs full frame lenses. There's no getting away from it. You know, you have to have the big chunky lenses. Whereas the Micro Four Thirds, you're getting close to the image quality, but in such a much smaller package. I mean, look at the camera bag she takes out. You know, it's ridiculous. So, and I know there are other people say, oh, you can't get shallow depth of field with Micro Four Thirds. It's absolutely rubbish. You can do it, and yes, there is an equation. You just double it, the cropped factor. So if you're shooting at f2 on a Micro Four Thirds, the equivalent, if everything else is the same, like the same field of view and whatnot, on a full frame, if you took the same picture, you'd get the equivalent would be using like f4 on a full frame. But if you're a photographer and you know how to work with shallow depth of field and you know what you're doing, you can still get those effects using a Micro Four Thirds. And if you think most people don't use full frame anyway, most people use APS-C, it's not two stops, you know, and it's not two times, so your f2 on here is probably f3.5, so it's not that much different when you take it in steps. It's only because people say, oh, it's you know, the depth of field, you've got twice as much depth of field as a full frame. Well, technically, yeah, you have, but sometimes it doesn't make a lot of difference. And in my experiences with the Micro Four Thirds, the bottom line is 100% honesty. You get more pictures in focus because you get more room for error and a little bit of leeway on the depth of field gives you more pictures in focus. I used to delete a huge number of out of focus shots, especially on my D610, which was a full frame. Quite a few on the D7000 that I had, which was APS-C. These, you're keeping more and more pictures, so you choose the picture based on the composition, the expression on the face at the time, not, oh, delete, yep, that's the one that's in focus, that's the one I've got. You may get a choice of, you know, 6 or 7 pictures, whereas on a full frame you might only get a choice of 1, or you may miss the shot completely. So I understand, yes, if you want to go out and buy an A7R Mark II and have 40 megapixels and full frame lenses and all that, and spend God knows how much money on it, that's fine. I ain't got a problem with that. If you're a professional, then go and do that. For your average photographer wanting fantastic image quality at fantastic value in a fantastic handling camera, this is the one. The only way this could be better is what I think they'll do is they'll merge the GX8 and the G7 and come up with a GH5, the GH4, you know, the next one on from the GH4 is going to be that's going to be a some camera. I can assure you of that. I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, this is GRVO TV, G's Reviews, Views and Opinions with the Panasonic Lumix G7.